Well, hello everybody and welcome back to Musings by Nikki. I am here today with something a little bit different, well, very different than what I usually do. They are kind of journals, but they are needle books slash journals, sewing themed things. And the reason why I did this in the first place is because I was contacted by one of my subscribers and slash customers who has who's a maker by her as in her own right, but also asked if I would be interested in making a needle book. And it took me a minute to try and wrap my head around that, and I kind of did some research and looked at what some other people have done, and looked outside of the journal community to just like, you know, sewers and stuff, and I figured some things out, and I've been messing around, and I taught myself how to do some basic quilting, as you can see here, some kind of crazy quilting, and it has been super fun. So one of these books is going to be a custom order, one of these needle books over here, and then this is a journal. So I'm going to let her pick which one she wants, and then the other ones will go in my shop. But I'm going to just give you kind of a show through what it is that I made. So let's just go, how about in the order that I made them, so I can explain my thought process. So this little guy is the first one that I made, and I tried to figure out, like, in my head I instantly thought I wanted to have something that was kind of quilted. So I pulled out some of my fabrics that I had scraps of, little matchy scraps, and I made this cover, and I was so like tickled that I figured out how to do this quilt as you go thing. And so it was super fun, and it's crude quilting for sure. Like, any of you that are quilters, this is not what you do, but the corners aren't, you know, super great or anything, but I was pretty proud of myself. So the closure is this elastic lace here, and it's sewn on with this button on the back, and so it doesn't remove off of that side, but it does go around this bigger button here up front. So that pops off, and let's take a look here. I'm gonna go in, let's see, so you can actually see here. There we go, a little bit better since these are smaller guys. Let's see, I don't even know. This one is, I was not going with any sort of standard measurements at all or anything. This is like 4 1/4 by 5 1/4 or 3/4. I'm sorry, 4 3/4 by like 5 3/4. So this opens up, and I've quilted it all onto this kind of sagey polka dot fabric back here, and you've got a couple of just a little mini skein of embroidery floss and some lace and some seam binding that I got from M at Ephemera. Thanks, Em. And then I've made here up front, I've made this crisscross pocket, and from Victoria Designs I got some a page full of measuring tape graphic, and I printed onto fabric. So you'll see that in several places in this as well. I kind of played around with printing onto fabric for the first time ever, and it was so much fun. And so you'll see a couple different places where I have printed some of the sewing ephemera onto fabric and then sewn it in and used it in part of the needle book as well. So I got sewing ephemera from Tailor Made Journals and Stacy Stories, and I don't know, I don't remember all the kits that I've used because I like got several, so I'll link them though. I'll put the names of them in the description box below. So on this first page, oh, and then I've slow stitched around the edges of everything with just a blanket stitch. So in this first pocket there is a little thread, little card of thread. And then in the second pocket here, there is this cute little pattern ephemera, and then a little lady's pocket calendar, but it's from Clark's. So those are little spots that you could write notes. And then on the edge here, there is a little pin that has a little sewing machine and a mini little scissor charm right there. Then this page, so this is made out of felt. Oops. This is made out of felt, and it's also a pocket here. So, oh, which apparently I have shut with my pin. So let me take my ball pin off here. There we go. Goodness sake. I put these things on and off trying to decide what I wanted to do here. So this is a pocket, and in this pocket here is more ephemera, and it just has some embroidery floss on there. And this is like all, you know, stuck on there. It's just for looks. Then that opens up to the middle page. And here's where I've taken some of that ephemera and printed it on to fabric and then sewn around. Super fun. And here's a button and some scraps of fabric and a little Tim Holtz safety pin. And then this opens up with the safety pin down here. And in here there are some needles with thread and some safety pins stuck in there kind of haphazardly, like, you know, somebody would. And then this is also a pocket back here that you could put your scissors in. And then over here, there are pins through this felt piece here. So there are some pins up here and some pins down here. And these are actually like vintage pins that I got from my grandma's, some of my grandma's sewing stuff. That's kind of fun. I have a ton of them. And then in this little pocket up here, there is a little sachet of lavender. Even pulling it out right now smells fantastic. And then a little piece of bias tape wrapper that I sewed some buttons onto, because I got, so this reminded me, because one time I bought at a thrift store a big like cookie tin of vintage buttons, tons and tons of them, but there was tons of this stuff. It's like, you know, she had 3 or 4 buttons of the same thing, and so she sewed them onto just random scraps of wrappers of things and stuff. So I did that. This bias tape label actually comes out of one of the tailor-made journals or one of the kits, so I just printed it off and folded it over and made it look like someone had sewn some buttons on there just because they needed somewhere to do it. Then this is a pocket again right here, and in there is a little card, a vintage card about measuring and how to do measuring. Then in the back there is a pocket this way and a pocket this way. There are a couple of little buttons on a bulb pin again here. Some more of that fabric printed measuring tape, and then there's some on here as well. So this little card talks about tape measures, and then I just printed and put on there some of that fabric measuring tape. And then there's a little needle package right here, and that opens up, and then there's just a folded piece of vellum in there, like where the needles would have gone. So that folds up, and then I put the slit in. This is one of those great printables as well. So this goes in here. And then back here, you untie this little ribbon, and you've got a little mini journal back here. So there is a pocket in front, and all of this wonderful ephemera, these and this, all of this came from those kits that I'll link below. And then this is the sewing kit that I used by Queen of Mirth, and I'll put her shop below as well. So I just shrunk it down, and I printed some lined paper and graph papers on the back. So it's this little mini version of it, and there's just some cards in there, pockets and such. I do not know offhand how many pages are in here. But you could keep notes about, if you are a sewer, you could keep notes about that, or if you, this is a cute little paper doll that I have clipped on here. It folds over. So you could keep memories, you know, if you used to sew with your grandma or something. This would be a fun place to write those memories down. Some information on threads and bobbins, and another calendar. And here's a little, these are like the things that pop off the end of the thread. And so I've just turned that into a little tuck spot. There's another one right there. That one goes through the middle of it. There's these cute little advertisements with cats, you know, because cats and thread and chasing yarn and stuff. And then this one flips up as well. This kit is beautiful. It has some really pretty images in there. There you go. So it's just a little, there's another piece. It's just a little mini journal. And there is one in one of the other books as well, and it's very similar to this. There we go. And then in the back there's a little fold out here. And that's that. So this cute little mini journal. And then this is another piece of ephemera that I printed onto fabric and then sewed onto here. So it has this really cool hand feel. And it's this little fabric covered journal. So you've got a little mini journal in the back of your needle book here. It just turned out so cute. And I loved how it just fit right in here. So you will see another one like this in just a second. So that's the first one that I made right there. And I really enjoyed it and had other ideas. So I started making another one. This one turned out to be a little bit taller and longer because I tried a different method of doing this like quilt as you go strip sewing thing. So I got out more fabric and did that. And then this is another piece of ephemera that I printed onto fabric. And so she was so cute with her little fishing hook. And it opens the same way. The closure is the same. It's sewn on here, so that button doesn't come off. But it loops around this big vintage button here. And this one, instead of binding the outside like this, I slow stitched all the way around it in this bright blue. So inside this one, oh, and then I printed, so this is that fabric that I kind of made by printing the measuring tape stuff or digital from Victoria Designs onto this, well, you can't really see it there, onto this though. So this is it not cut apart. And I loved the way this looked, so I just quilted it onto this as the back, the backer. So here's some more embroidery floss and lace and bias tape. And then I've got the two pockets here. And in the first one, there is this cute little shirts are the cheapest and the best. And some more ephemera. It's just ephemera. All the ephemera is about sewing or threads or different things. Another little spool of string. This one has 3 different types of charm or scissors on its little charm down here. And hopefully I didn't pin this one shut. In here is another card with some embroidery floss. Then in the middle, there is a Tim Holtz pin with a little Singer sewing machine charm on there. This is another piece of that fabric printed ephemera. And then I've got a little tab and button right here, and it unpins as well. And in here are some sewing needles and some safety pins again. And that flips down. This is just a little tab here that flips down, and then you can pin it shut again. Like so. And then this behind here is also a pocket as well. You could slip a pair of scissors in there if you wanted to. This one, the needles go through, the pins, excuse me, go through another piece of sewn ephemera that I just stitched around with my sewing machine and put the pins on. And then the pocket is virtually the same up here. A little sachet of lavender, which yummy, smells delicious again when I pull it out. And then some buttons sewn onto another little Rick Rack label. just like a place to sew and keep those. And then inside here is the measuring tape piece again, inside that pocket, but there's lots of room. I mean, you could stick all kinds of stuff in there. Then on the back side, there's a pocket with some seam binding wrapped around a piece of a label from something. Something. And then there is a little embroidery silk piece of ephemera and another one of the little needles cases right here. So that all opens up like this. So then you can close it. Needles would usually come in those. I have a couple of them with actual needles in them. And then there are a couple of just little buttons down here on another bulb pin. And then this one, the journal is behind this belly band that buttons in. So you can, I mean, the button actually functions and you can do that. Yes, what? I made a buttonhole. That's right, I did it. I made a buttonhole with my machine. But you don't have to unbutton it because it does just slide in. Now you're too, I didn't make it too tight. So, because otherwise it would, you know, pull the ends of this in like this. So anyway, there's a better shot of that cool fabric that I was able to make. Anyway, all right. Then this one has a little piece of ephemera that I printed onto fabric again. And it says Sewing Illustrated, the needle and thimble, an industry symbol. And this little mini journal is much the same as the other one. It has a pocket in the front and the back, and the pages are very much the same. It's the same kind of little flips and tucks here like this. So it's very much the same little mini journal with pieces of ephemera in it and some things that flip up. And some little things that are attached with paper clips. This flips up. Yeah, so this one, there we go, that pulls out. Those go in there. That goes up this way. She's cute. And then there's a big pocket on the end here as well, and that's covered in this pretty fabric. So there you go, that one has its own little mini journal in it. So that's the second one that I made, and that's kind of the longer. That one measures, let's see, that one measures like 4 1/4-ish by almost 6 3/4 about. All right, then I went back and looked at what Lorna had said, and she had said lace covered over fabric or something. And so then I thought, okay, I'm gonna try something that's more kind of maybe Victorian or, you know, lacy and very, very feminine. And because these are maybe a little bit more like quilty folksy, and then this is definitely much more girly. I hand beaded all of these little pearls onto here as I slow stitched around the edges of everything. So this one was a lot more labor intensive, but I really like how it turned out too. It is very different than the rest of them, but it was fun. And so this one has another one of those fabric ephemera on the front. It has this sweet, sweet little girl who, it's hard to see, but she's wrapped all in threads. Her hands are up over her head and she's wrapped in threads, and it's an advertisement for Clark's. But then down here it says a prisoner, and at first I wasn't paying attention, and I looked at it and then I was like, oh, it's because she's all wrapped in thread. I thought, why does it say a prisoner? That's the name of the like painting or whatever. So this has this heavily kind of really chunky lace, and I've layered it over a piece of fabric that's actually like, let's see, it's this fabric here, so kind of corally colored. And then on the edge I put a piece of, this is a vintage piece of lace, so it's ruffly lace with this kind of floral down the middle, this little floral ribbon. embroidered ribbon, and then I have a little heart button at the bottom, and as I sewed it on, I beaded it as well, so it has pearls up, and then it has a button, a kind of a lavender purple button at the top. And then all the way around the edge, as I slow stitched, I beaded as I went. So that goes all the way around the edge. And the closure is much the same, though. This button here holds the lace on, and it actually comes off of this crocheted button here. This was one of the buttons that was in my giant tin of vintage buttons. It's really cool looking. So I thought I liked that one here. This one measures like just slightly over 4 inches by 6 inches. So, oh yeah, there we go. That's the fabric that I've put the lace over. And as you can see, I followed the pearls all the way around here too. So anyway, anywho, this one has clipped in here a little piece of fabric measuring tape and a sample of lace and a sample of some kind of organdy ribbon, organza ribbon. Is that what that's called? The shiny stuff? I don't know. Someone out there knows. One of you guys knows. Then I have some pockets here that have lace layered on them and other fabrics. And there's a little button and scissor charm right here on this bulb pen. And in here is this cute girl, one of the pieces of ephemera. And I've aged it up and bent the corner like the picture looked. There is a sample of some embroidery flosses, and then there is another needle, little needle case here, needle papers. It looks like that. So that goes in there. And then inside of this pocket, there is a bunch of ephemera. So this has another one of those ladies' pocket calendars that folds open. And then a couple pieces of this little thing called the Thimble People. And this came in one of the kits, but it's super cute. So it talks about, it just names the different, you know, scissors, shears, pencil, needle book, buttonhole scissors, needle of don't. I don't know what that is. Needle of don't. Have to try. Anyway, it's really cute. So that goes in there. And then this is like, you know, somebody sent this birthday card and it had to do with sewing. And so, you know, whoever this was folded it up and stuck it away in her book as well with these other memories. So those tuck into this little pocket. Then this is another piece of that printed fabric ephemera right there. And in this one, I actually have a pair of scissors tucked in here. And they're these kind of faux replica antique scissors, really pretty. So those go in this pocket behind here. They can just slide down in there like so and just peek out the top, all cutes. There are some buttons up here on this bulb pin, and then some more of that. This is the same lace that's on the spine, and this opens up again, and here are some sewing pins and some more just different safety pins stuck in there. And you can see I've done some fancy leaf stitching on this one. And then down the middle here I put some ribbon, and you'll see where that goes to in a sec. But then I also put some pearls there because heck, I was on a roll with the hand beading thing. Well, actually, you guys, this is part of the reason why this is taking so long. I got like super sick with a really sore throat and really not feeling well for a while. And so as I was sitting, even now my voice is still a little bit funky, but I had lost my voice completely for a while. So as I couldn't really do much of anything, I sat and hand beaded, and I went to town. You can see I hand beaded the heck out of this thing. So here's some pink ribbon, and you can see that kind of pops around here, and that goes underneath, and you'll see that in a second. But that also is beaded. And then this little place here is where the pins go. And then I also made some kind of fancy stick pins some little faux stick pins. So those go in here as well. And this is just some doubled over felt with some buttons and lace, just to thicken it up a little bit. To put pins into without, you know, going all the way through into the pocket, or the pocket right here. Then up here, there's another Tim Holtz pin and a pocket. And in here, another sachet of lavender and another little bias tape with some buttons sewn on. And then this one also got this cute little ephemera. This is a little sewing, like, see how she folds like that? And I cut, so it came in one of the kits. It came like this, but I knew that you're supposed to cut her out and then it folds. So look at her, super cute little girl. So she's hanging out up in here too. She's right there. Then in this pocket, so this journal, this one doesn't have like a full-on journal like the other ones do. It just has this little tiny book, a little booklet that has some different papers, and some of them are cut from instructions, sewing needlepoint instructions, and it's just got some papers in here and then a piece of ephemera in the middle. So that's this. It's a little teeny tiny, I guess you could call it, mini journal. Just a place to keep some notes and stuff. And it's closed with a piece of this kind of pretty rose colored crinkly seam binding. So that's what's in this pocket here. But again, this is a big pocket, so you could fit you know, other stuff in there if you wanted to, and that just hangs out. Then on the back, there's another charm with a Singer sewing machine and a little teeny pair of scissors right there. And then here is some string, and on this one there is some seam binding wrapped around and tucked into that upper pocket. And then this is what is attached to that pink ribbon that comes through the middle here. So this could really go anywhere you wanted it to. But it's pieces, it's 2 pieces of ephemera, that printed fabric ephemera, so it's flexible, it's fabric with felt in between. And I sewed around the edges a bunch of times with my machine. And it's just another place to put some pins into. So that hangs out in there. And then on a bulb pin in the back are a couple of button cards, vintage button cards. Well, this one's not buttons, that's snaps. So these are some old ones that I got with my vintage buttons, and this one's all like, you know, aged up and everything, and it has some cute little like mother of pearl looking buttons on there. So those are just hanging on the bulb pin back there. So that is that one. And that all closes and goes around here. Chunky little needle book. That's probably the chunkiest little one. And then I thought, why not go all in? Oh, we're going to need to zoom back out now. There we go. Why not go all in and actually make a journal size kind of needle book? So this one measures, well, it's hard to, you know what, guys, because it's like all chunky and stuff, probably like 5.5 at its widest by 9 1/4. And it is just a larger take on my original one, this quilting thing. So I've gone through and, you know, quilted it. So it's the same thing. Then on the spine, so it's got 2 stitches. It's got this long stitch here, and then it's got the binding threads here. And you'll see why, because this is where I actually bound in the signature, and this is where I sewed in the needlebook portion of it. Then up here, it's just a couple of pieces of lace and a bunch of buttons on a Tim Holtz pin that are just kind of pinned up here at the top. And this closure is just a giant button and elastic. So it's not actually attached to the book. It comes free. You could attach however you want to. This is just a button and simple, very simple button and elastic closure. And this opens up, And it has in front the needlebook portion, and then in back the journal portion. So in front it has a little sample of some wool yarn and a little card of some white ribbon. Ooh, that's very shiny in this light. It's very dark outside because of course it gets dark at like 4:30 here now. So I've got all my lights on right now and it's just making that look super white. And then another vintage button card underneath. Look, 10 cents. Cute, huh? And then I have quilted, that's the word I was looking for, this one onto some double coffee stained and crinkled muslin that I made. And then this is a little sample of that measuring tape stuff kind of wrapped up, and some seam binding here. And then I've stitched on this little scissor pocket here and another pair of those cute replica scissors. They're kind of heavy. So those go inside this little pocket here. And then this goes between them here and wraps around this little button a couple times. Of course, none of that wants to happen while I'm filming. And then on the end is just this little tiny cute little button charm right there. So that goes like that. There we go. Then here's another one of those fabric ephemera, and this one I love. It's this woman fitting this woman. She's, you know, doing a fitting with her, and she's got this boning, like it looks like whale boning or something. It just reminds me how I'm so incredibly glad that I don't have to wear clothes like that, and that right now I'm wearing leggings and a t-shirt and a sweater and some fuzzy socks. Because guys, I finally found my fuzzy socks. There is a big pocket back here behind this flip, so you could stick other things in there. I didn't put anything in there because this was getting kind of chunky. And then this closes with this button whirly guy here. And at the bottom there's a little scissor charm and a little baby sewing machine charm. Super cute. And it flips open. And up here are a bunch of different sizes of gold safety pins and little kind of brassy, dull looking ones, Tim Holtz baby ones. And then a couple rows of pin, just doubled up felt or tripled felt actually, to put pins in. And these are more of those pins. Like I said, I have a ton of them. And then in here kind of on the side, so you can get to it without having to open this as well. But we'll open that in a sec. So this just goes back here, and this winds around. These are just doubled up buttons here. Doubled up buttons, and you just wind. And then, like I said, this has got a big pocket here. So you can get to this kind of through the side as well. And it's just, again, that same elastic closure. And inside here is a larger sachet of lavender. This is just a stitched little quilted. Oh, it smells so good. Wave it around a little. Lavender sachet. And then just a couple of extra pieces of ephemera that I didn't put into the book. So these are the larger ones, and these didn't fit in those smaller journals anyway. And then here's another one that I folded in half. And it's just like that. And then this is actually some vintage, this is like a vintage lace card that I have. It says 4 yards. And then a couple of samples of some vintage lace that I have. So I threw that in there as well. So those things all go into the big old pocket. And this, of course, has all been blanket stitched, like hand stitched around as well. And then that just closes back up here. And on the back side, there is a big pocket here with another piece of that. These are both pieces of that printed fabric that I made. And there is a little charm down on the corner here that has a little knitting needles and yarn, and then a little spool of yarn here. And in here, there is a card with the measuring tape on it, and then a card with some embroidery floss. And then up in this one, I love this little graphic. It says darning do's and don'ts, about how to darn socks and fix holes in things and fix a tear. And then this is another piece of the printed ephemera. And so it's fabric, it's another little calendar. And I stitched it to some felt, and then I made it into a little mini needle book that can go inside this pocket. And then these go back in here. So that's the needle book portion of this. Then there is a signature sewn in as well that is actually a journal piece. So I've used that same quilt. I love this page by Queen of Mirth. I've used some just some thinner laces and things through here. There's a couple of charms, and let's look at that really quick. This is from a very cool, it's like, and you can see, look at how it's, you can hardly see on here, but it's very naturally aged. It's really cool. So it's like a vintage needle book or needlework patterns book, and then I've edged it with some sewing pattern paper. There's some ruffles of that in here as well. Then I've used that Victoria Designs to make some measuring tape graphics and stuff. I suppose I could come in a little bit, huh? There we go. Let you see the best you can. I've also used some of those kind of ghosted doily pictures. If you saw my last book, my sewing book, you saw some of these, and that's from Ephemera's Treasures. Hi, Emily. And so this is some of her great kit, and it's nice because you could totally write on this page, but it has that sewing theme right in there. Then these are from the Queen of Mirth kit. There's a piece of ribbon sewn along the edge. There are some pockets like this that are made out of ephemera, and then just more pieces of sewing ephemera. Like I said, the tailor-made journals and I think it's the Stacy Stories one, are so full. You get like, I don't know, there's probably like 6 or 7 pages of different pieces of ephemera in both of them. They're great kits if you're doing anything sewing related. I highly recommend checking them out. So here's some more pieces of ephemera, and then that's in this pocket with, again, that's more of that needlework and some pattern. And some lace. It's like a picture of a sampler. Then there's that measuring tape on both sides. This is from the Queen of Mirth, and then this is one of M's. And then here's a little charm that has a spool of thread and some scissors, and that's on this piece of lace here. So lots of writing space back here. I love that picture. She's fallen asleep at her sewing machine. I love that one. So this is from the Queen of Mirth kit, and this is from, I keep saying Stacy Stories, but I'm not sure. Like I said, I'll have it linked below, but these were the pages that came with some of that ephemera as well. Then I've got some little pieces of eyelet lace sewn in as well. Here's another tuck spot with some cute kitties and a globe. This is some more of that ephemera. This is another cool piece that comes with the kit. So I cut it out and I sliced out the middle part here, and it's about gloves. And this one says that it's about your lifeline, your health, wealth, and matrimony lines, but then it's talking about how many years you're gonna live and stuff. Kind of funny, but it's actually a for gloves. Kid gloves are the best made. So that's just over the edge there. This charm is a little Singer sewing machine. The center of the signature has one of the doilies from Ephemera's Treasures. And then in here is or R, another sewing or knitting needles charm, and then a little measuring tape charm. Those are just on the sewing, the threads. Like I said, just some light lace sewn along the edges of things. Some more of that Victoria Designs. This has 3 pockets with little pieces of ephemera in each one. This has one large one. I love that one. Gulliver, all tied down with thread. This one pocket has a couple more big pieces of ephemera about boots and sewing machines. Lots of sewing machine ephemera. This one has a couple pieces here, and each one is a side pocket that has extra pieces of ephemera in there. And they're all just printed on ivory cardstock, so you can make notes on the backs of them as well. This one has a little measuring tape and a button on it. This is some more M ephemera. This is from Queen of Mirth. More measuring tapes. It just occurred to me I was going to tell you how many pages are in here, but I have no idea. So that'll be listed down below too. I'll list that. Some more ephemera in these pockets. And here's another one here. And some more ribbon. Can you guys hear that? Probably not. My daughter Lizzie is downstairs trying to figure out how to play some jazz stuff for Christmas. We're a little addicted to Christmas in this house. We get a little bit excited about Christmas. So she's been listening to Christmas music for a while, but she also plays piano, and she's trying to figure out the jazzy "Christmas Time Is Here" song from Peanuts Christmas, if you know what I'm talking about. And then here in this one, instead of my regular maker's mark, I used my sewing machine to do MBN for Music's by Nikki. So that's actually stitched in with my sewing machine and then sewn on and put down onto this paper. Oh, and then here's a better shot of that muslin, that crinkled up kind of double coffee stain muslin, and my stitching, my quilting. You guys, I can't tell you, I'm kind of geeked out about that. I actually figured out how to do that. Look at that. I made that. Have you ever had one of those moments where you're like, I made that? Yep, I made that. So that's that one, guys. So it looks real, you know, you can tell the chunkiness of the needlebook signature in there. And then the button just goes, the button closure just goes back on the front like this and wraps around the back. It smells all pretty like lavender in here right now. So there we go. So thank you guys for spending some time with me to look at these today. Like I said, I am going to contact Lorna and let her know that she has first choice of the smaller needle books here. And this one and 2 of these will go up into my shop as soon as I hear from her. So today is Sunday evening. I'm going to guess that by Monday or Tuesday, then when she's had a chance to watch the video and choose which one she wants, the other ones will go up as well. But I think I'll list this one right away. So anyway, whatever. They'll be in my shop by Tuesday for sure. So thank you guys so much for spending your time watching this and for indulging me in my being so proud of myself moment for figuring some other new things out and trying something different. I hope you guys are all doing super well and enjoying the season, whatever season it is, wherever you are. And I hope you have a wonderful morning, afternoon, evening, middle of the night, whatever time it is on whatever side of this beautiful planet that ours that you live on. And until next time, take care, stay safe, God bless. Bye-bye, guys.